You've probably seen all the commercials for Medicare annual enrollment, not to mention the countless pieces of mail advertising this plan and that. To once again help us make sense of it, let's welcome back Lori Miller, an independent insurance agent right here in the Low Country. And you have a very tough task because you have to keep track of all these changes. They happen every single year, and you're working directly with clients who want the best plan for their needs.
Correct.
So first question out of the gate here, to define the difference between the annual enrollment period versus the individual period.
So the annual enrollment period is October 15th to December 7th, and that is for people who already have Medicare to review their coverage. So if you have a Medicare Advantage plan, it would be to determine if you can keep that plan, if you want to keep that plan, or if you want to make a change. If you have original Medicare with the supplement and drug coverage, separate drug coverage, it's really important to review your drug coverage also this time of year because those plans change also. Whereas your individual enrollment period is when you become eligible for Medicare. And so generally that's going to be the month of your 65th birthday. If your birthday happens to fall on the first of a month, you actually are eligible a month earlier.
Okay.
And then you have a 3-month period leading up to your birthday where you can enroll in Medicare. However, it won't begin until your month of eligibility. And then you have the month of your birthday and 3 months after. So that is an individual enrollment period. And so people will often be confused if they're turning 65 in the near future and now this fall enrollment period is upon them. They're not sure if this is where they need to take action. No, your period is your period, but if you already have Medicare benefits, this is the time to review and make sure that what you have will still suit you for the coming year.
So let's say someone turns 65 on the 1st of April of 2026. They don't wait until the fall enrollment period. The individual enrollment applies at the time of their birthday.
Right. So so their enrollment period begins 3 months prior.
Okay.
And those periods may overlap in time,
Sure.
but it's still 2 different processes.
Okay.
And then speaking of that, I should note also that Medicare does not happen automatically unless you're already drawing Social Security. And what I mean by that is if you're drawing Social Security, Medicare is going to send you a Medicare card. And if you don't want to go on Medicare because you have other creditable coverage, such as employer coverage, then you would have to refuse it, decline it. If you're not drawing Social Security yet, which is very common these days that people wait on their Social Security, then you have to actually apply for Medicare. And that is just the first step, because when you get your Medicare A and B, your original Medicare, really that's just the foundation of your coverage, your building blocks. Then most people are going to add something to that coverage, be it a Medicare supplement or an Advantage plan. So very few people are wandering around with just original, what I like to call naked Medicare all by itself, because it still leaves them with a lot of financial exposure for their medical expenses.
Have you ever heard of anybody who, let's say they get their medical coverage through their work, also carry Medicare?
It depends on how large your employer is, whether your employer's coverage is considered creditable coverage. There are circumstances where people have both, but oftentimes, typically, like if it's a larger employer, your Medicare is going to be secondary to the employer coverage. And in those circumstances, it may not be worth having Medicare if your coverage through your employer is pretty good.
I see.
So, and that is something I also help people evaluate too, is if they have access to a link to their benefit description, we can compare that to Medicare.
So maybe you might get something better with Medicare versus the other.
So we can kind of determine if they're planning to work past 65, is their employer coverage creditable? Can they keep it and delay their Medicare without a penalty? Should they do that, or would they be better off transitioning to Medicare? And so we can kind of put them on a scale and see what is the best value for what you're spending on your coverage.
And then if you want to delay it, do you suffer any kind of penalty?
You can only delay it if you have what is determined to be creditable coverage.
Oh, I see. Okay.
So you can't just say, you know, for example, if you have marketplace coverage or Obamacare, and you say, oh, well, I like my plan, I just don't want to go on Medicare.
Right.
No, you can't do that.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
I did not know that.
So there are certain circumstances where you can delay it and not have a penalty, but you do need to be careful that your coverage is deemed as creditable, meaning at least as good as Medicare.
Okay. We only have about 30 seconds left.
Okay.
How far ahead should people start researching this?
So I say 4 to 6 months prior to your 65th birthday, unless you are confident that you're going to delay it, that you have good employer coverage and you're like, I'm good, I know I'm good, I've looked into it. If you're not 100% confident, it's a good idea to at least reach out, touch base. I'm never going to push somebody into one coverage or another. I'm going to give you a very fair assessment and analysis, and then you go from there.
Yeah, and you do need to contact Lori because she will be able to navigate this crazy maze of Medicare, the Medicare world. Well, I want to thank you so much for joining us.
Thank
really
you for
valuable
having
information. And of course, we've got her contact information up there on the screen, so do reach out to Lori. We'll be back in 2 minutes.